Hi, I'm Chris Lozano and welcome to Sip and Sizzle. Today we're going to be making grilled molasses flank steak. Let's get into it. Welcome to our pilot episode of Sip and Sizzle. This is a show where we talk about outdoor cooking as well as some craft beer. Look, I'm a dad. I have a job working corporate America, got a cube, Monday through Friday, okay? I have a wonderful son, beautiful wife. I'm a dad and a husband. And so a lot of times people love grilling, people love barbecuing, and they can be intimidated by a lot of the videos from the pitmasters and the competition barbecuers and pitmasters. You know, they hear things like, Traeger pellet grills, mill scale offset smokers, things like that. Well, I have a grill. I have a gas grill, but I know how to use that gas grill. You can use that gas grill to grill. You can use it to smoke. You can use it for a griddle top. And that's what the show is about. You don't have to be an ex-competition pitmaster. You can just be a dad like me and make great food for your family. And that's what the show is all about. So join me along for the ride. Hopefully we're gonna have a good time and you're gonna learn a little something. We're also gonna be talking about craft beer. I'm telling you, nothing pairs better with food than beer. The big sexy pick, the big sexy conversation is about wine. People think they're sophisticated. What wine goes with what dish? Well, craft beer goes with great dishes as well. And you know what? Beer is more versatile. It pairs with many more foods than wine. Like, let me ask you a question. What wine goes with a nice garlicky dish? There's not one, right? But there are plenty of beers that go great with garlicky dishes. Garlicky, spicy, sweet, fried, grilled, broiled, sauteed. There's a beer for it. In this particular beer, my favorite brewery from my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, Sweetwater. Now, in this series, you're going to hear a lot of brand names. I'm not making money off of anybody. I'm not being sponsored. I'm just being honest. I'm bringing to the forefront what I enjoy, what I think pairs well with food, what I think the types of food, and so if there's a brand name in there, so be it. I am not sponsored. Wouldn't mind having a sponsor, but hey, just being honest. So anyway, this Sweetwater Georgia Brown, amazing brown ale, and you will not find a better beer to pair with barbecue. Anything with barbecue sauce, ribs, brisket, sausages, even burgers loaded with great toppings, fresh off the grill, all go great with a brown ale. So that's what I'm sipping on today. So we're going to be doing a grilled molasses flank steak. I really love this cut of meat. This is a very lean cut of meat. It's like a sirloin. It is a great cut of meat. I don't have to trim it because this came already trimmed. If you look at it, there is some marbleization, but all this marbleization is going to render down once we grill it, throw it on the grill, and it'll provide for some great flavor. But there's not too much marbleization like you'd see in like a Denver steak or a ribeye, for example. But there's some a little bit throughout, and again, that provides some great flavor. Now, this is one of my favorite recipes to grill during the week. It's really quick. Now, it does have some marinating time, so you'll have to marinate it preferably overnight. I mean, if you're in a hurry, you can marinate it for about 4 hours at a minimum, but I prefer overnight or even up to 24 hours. So that's what we're going to get into tonight. Again, quick, easy weeknight meal, and it tastes perfect. And we're going to go ahead and get into this marinade here, but before we do, there's a little trivia for you. There's a little something on this can, the Sweet Georgia Brown can. Can anybody tell me what this is? If you know what this little symbol is, or this little thing here that they have is, leave it in the comments section down below, and let me know if you know what this thing is. Anyway, little trivia for you. Anyway, so we're going to get into the seasoning and the marinade of this thing. Now, one of the rules that I have is I like to use a spice, or a seasoning rather, called Adobo. Now, Adobo is, it's like an all-purpose seasoning. It's of the Latin variety. And more times than not, I have a rule that no matter what kind of marinade you have, no matter what kind of recipe you have with marinades or rubs or whatnot, adobo goes on first. And this is easily available in just about any grocery store. You probably find it in the spice aisle. If you don't find it in the spice aisle, you can find it definitely in the international section. But again, it's called adobo. We get the light because that's reduced sodium. And that goes really well because a lot of times some of our rubs and the marinades already have a lot of sodium in it. So going lighter on the base seasoning is best. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to just put a nice little coat of adobo on our flank steak here. And just, it doesn't have to be a lot, just a nice little coat. And normally I would let this adhere for a little bit. You don't need a binder with a flank steak here. I just kind of pat it, rub it in just a little bit. For the sakes of this video, a lot of times when I do put the adobo and my seasonings and rubs on, I let it adhere for at least 15 minutes on each side. So now that we have the adobo, the base layer of adobo on the flank steak, we're gonna go ahead and put together the marinade ingredients. This is the molasses marinade for the flank steak. It's actually, this recipe comes to us from Texas barbecue pitmaster Christopher Prieto. This is a variation of his recipe. He's got the base recipe. I did a couple of variations to my liking. The adobo was one of them. But yeah, we're going to start out here. This is about 3/4 cups of pure molasses. Again, you can get this at any grocery store. It's usually in the baking aisle where you can get your Karo syrup. It's not going to be, sometimes it'll be with the pancake syrup, but most of the time you're going to find it with like your Karo syrup, things like that. But yeah, this is pure molasses. And then we're going to pour in a 2/3 cup of soy sauce. Now again, we use the reduced sodium soy sauce. Getting back to what I was saying earlier, there's a lot of sodium in rubs, spices, seasonings, and marinades. So any chance that I get to reduce the sodium, I do. Now, this is about another 1/4 cup of avocado oil. Now you can use any oil you want here. You can use canola oil, vegetable oil, corn oil, olive oil. I just like avocado oil because again, it's a healthier choice. And then of course we have a 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. We're going to throw in, this is about 2 tablespoons of freshly grated ginger going into the mix there. And we also have about 3 cloves of minced garlic. Now, when it comes to the freshness of your ingredients, okay, I'm talking like the ginger. I grated the ginger fresh. The lemon juice, I squeezed fresh lemons. The garlic, I used real minced garlic. I didn't use the powdered or granulated garlic or garlic powder. I didn't use the powdered ginger. Use the real thing. Now, if you go the light way with the powdered ginger and the granulated garlic, it's not going to taste bad. But using the freshest ingredients possible, that's where your flavor comes from. That's where you want that extra punch of flavor. So it's going to be enhanced. Using the others, it won't make it taste bad. But using the fresh stuff is really going to give the pop in the flavor. And of course, for good measure, we're going to throw in 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Now don't get hung up on the actual measurements. You know what I'm saying? 2 tablespoons of this, 3/4 cup of that, about. Like Matt Pittman from Meat Church says, measure with your heart. Don't get hung up on the actual perfect measurements. You know what you like, you know what tastes good. So don't let it stress you out. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to whisk this all together to make our marinade. With the molasses, it's a little thick. It's a little tough to kind of get going. But once all of these ingredients of this marinade start combining and gelling and getting incorporated for one another, it's just going to get easier and easier. So much I got to watch what I'm doing. I don't want to be splashing around the edge here. But yeah, that's what we're doing right here. Just got to whisk. Get yourself some really good stainless steel bowls here. My wife has some plastic ones for baking. Not so good with making marinades and barbecuing, so I just went ahead and sprung for the stainless steel ones here. And of course, the nice wisp that goes along with it. So yeah, this marinade has come along now. We're just kind of stirring it up here, getting it all ready to go. Okay, now when it comes to actually putting it in a marinated container, I got my fancy Ziploc bag here. Again, nothing fancy, nothing is, very, very simple. You don't need a fancy marinating dish, a marinating bowl. You don't need a vacuum sealer. This is just your typical gallon Ziploc storage bag. We'll take our flank steak here, just put it on in there. Give our marinade a couple more stirs here, because it will settle. That molasses will settle if it sits there for long. And we're just going to go ahead now, and we're going to pour this right on in our bag here. And we're going to zip this up. Now, be careful. You want to be able to get all of the air out. So I'm kind of pulling the zipper tight a little bit, but I'm leaving a little end open right here. And we're just going to let this settle a little bit. Let it settle on down. And at the same time, I'm pushing the air out of this little opening I left right here. And we're going to fold this over. So try to get out as much air as you possibly can, and go ahead and seal it. There we are. So now, again, no vacuum sealer needed, nothing like that. And what we're going to do is we are just going to let this marinate overnight. All right, so now that we've kind of massaged the marinade into the meat a little bit, we got it sealed. I like to just go ahead and put it in another little container here. I mean, it should be okay on its own, but it is a plastic bag, and we don't want it to spring any leaks and then go all over the refrigerator. So just for safekeeping, I put it in a little plastic tub there. So anyway, in the refrigerator, this is going to go overnight, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Well, it's been 24 hours. Now, I know I said marinated overnight, which is the standard, but life happens and our schedules get messed up sometimes. So, it's been about 24 hours. But anyway, as you can see, the flank steak has got a nice chocolate brown color that, complements the molasses marinade that we had it in. So now it's for the fun part. Let's go outside and throw it on the grill. All right, we're out here at the grill. As you can see, nothing fancy here. This is just a Weber Genesis 3-burner gas grill. Again, I'm just a family man. Nothing fancy, no smokers, no Traegers, no offsets, just a grill. And this is what I cook on all the time. And this is what I'm going to teach you how to cook on all the time, even if you want to smoke. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the series if you follow it. So what I have now is I got this thing on high heat, direct high heat. You want to put it on direct high heat to get a good sear. I'd say about a good 2 minutes aside. Then I'm going to lower the heat to about medium, just so it can finish cooking. Now, if you're cooking with a charcoal grill, no problem. Get your 2-zone fire set up with your charcoals on one side of the grill for your direct heat, and then of course the other side, no charcoal for indirect heat. And again, you do your searing on the direct heat part, then slide it on over to the indirect heat and let it finish cooking at that point. All right, so what I like to do is I like to spray down some olive oil here on the grates. I don't use the canned stuff like Pam or anything like that. I use the all natural. You can get these spray bottles on Amazon. They're relatively inexpensive. This keeps the meat from sticking. A lot of people say you don't need this. Well, I'll tell you right now, my grates are clean and I still need it. It keeps it from sticking. It's just a better experience overall. So now we're going to go ahead and throw on the flank steak for that sear on the first side. And again, we're going to leave this on there for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to flip it over. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes. We're going to go ahead and flip it. All right, you see some nice caramelization there of the marinade. And you got to be careful because since molasses is a sweet marinade, it's going to be quick to char. As you can see, we don't have very much char here, which is a good thing. Char can be good and it can be bad. Char provides a nice flavor to grilled meat, but if you don't watch it, there's a fine line between char and burn. So you want to stay away from the burn, and that is especially crucial when you're using a sweet marinade like molasses. Now, my family and I, we like our red meat about medium rare, and that's 125 to 135 degrees. You got a 10-degree window there, depending on how red or juicy you want the meat. Now, some people use a method to kind of gauge the temperature of their steak while it's cooking. They use this hand method where it's like, your first finger is rare, second finger is medium rare, and then medium, and so on and so forth. If that works for you, then great, that's awesome. If you're just learning how to grill steaks and just starting out, I would not recommend that method. The reason why, people's hands are built different. People are built different. Some people's hands are a little thicker like mine, some a little skinnier. And then you got to take into account the piece of meat. How thick is your piece of meat? What's that going to feel like? So I just use a thermometer. Just the old school way with a meat thermometer. If you are grilling and you are serious about grilling, I highly recommend you picking one up if you don't already have one. You can get them off Amazon, you can get them at Home Depot, Lowe's, you name it. Then you can get you a nice meat thermometer. So that's the way to go, even with beef. Again, I know some people don't like using it with beef, they want to gauge it. And again, if that works for you, awesome. But if you're just starting out and you're learning, get you a thermometer. Highly recommend. All right, now I went ahead and temp this to about 128 because once we pull it off, there's going to be some residual or carryover cooking that's going to occur while we let it rest for about 10 minutes. But as you can see, we have a little more grill marks than we had on that initial sear. Again, I wanted to play it safe because of the sweet marinade. I didn't want to char right off the bat and risk it burning. But you see some of the grill marks started to appear as it cooked. And by the way, when I seared it for the 2 minutes per side, I was on high heat. And then after the second side was seared for 2 minutes, I dropped the heat down to medium. So anyway, we'll go ahead and pull this off and we'll see you in the kitchen. Okay, we're back in the kitchen now. We have our flank steak here. It's been resting about 7-8 minutes. We're hungry, so we're kind of rushing it up. Hey, I'm filming this as I'm getting off work. Remember I told you earlier that I'm a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of guy? But anyway, when it comes to cutting meat, you want to always cut against the grain. Now with a flank steak, it's really easy to see which way the grain is running. The way I've got this flank steak laying, this is horizontal, so I'm going to cut vertically across. And that's really important, especially when it comes to your leaner cuts like flank steak, skirt steak, sirloin steak, because they're a leaner cut of meat. There's not a lot of fat, so that means they're naturally going to be a little bit tougher than, let's say, like a ribeye. So by cutting across the grain, you're getting a tender slice of meat. All right, so let's see how we did. I'm going to cut it across a thicker slice first. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. I couldn't have cooked a better cut of meat. I'm telling you, this is so good. All right. Take a little piece here. Oh, my gosh. You can cut this with a fork. It is so tender. Now keep a look, if you want to zoom in here, it is a medium rare shot, but it looks a little darker because of the penetration of the marinade into the meat on the side there. It almost looks like a smoke ring, but it's not. It's really a marinated ring from that deep brown color of the molasses. Wow, this is amazing. All right, now we have it all cut and ready to serve. Again, this is our grilled molasses flank steak. So thank you everybody for hanging out with me. I hope you learned something. If at all, if you already know how to grill, at least a new recipe. And this is a new channel, so it would really help a lot and go a long way if you could subscribe to the channel and hit that like button down below. And let's be interactive. If there's something you would like me to grill, by all means, I'm open to suggestions. And if you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask, and I'll definitely respond. But until next time, thanks again for tuning in to Sip and Sizzle. I'm Chris Lozano. Can't wait for the next one.